What's going on, everybody? It's On My X, episode 33. And we got a special guest already here. He's coming off a fresh win in the Halo 5 Open tournament today. None other than ACE. That's Ace.
Yeah, what's up? Thank you guys so much for having me on the show. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for being on the show, Aaron. Man, we just jumped right into this. I thought we were gonna do like a around the table and then introduce Aaron, but it's all good. Before I get into some questions, here we go. This is better. I was having technical difficulties, but Aaron, you're coming off a victory in the first Halo 5 Pro Series Season 4 Open Tournament, and you had a new roster today. It was yourself, Arctic, Spartan, and Sab, and of course you guys dominated, man. I was checking out the tournament. Shout out to Louis V Titan and their production team for putting on another amazing broadcast. But yeah, man, how did today go, and how are you feeling after the victory?
It went pretty much how I envisioned it. You know, we only dropped one game, and it was a very winnable game. I would say very, very winnable. So we could have gone, lossless the whole game. Yeah, we could have gone undefeated. But we ended up just
He said lossless.
We went undefeated afterwards.
Who kind
of
put together the squadron that you guys had there? Was that kind of your masterwork behind the scenes? Like, tell me how you guys kind of came together.
Well, actually, before like all this Halo 5 HCS stuff came about, it was gonna be me. It's gonna be this team for that. But then Spartan ended up deciding to go play with his other team. But they didn't really want to take it too serious in Halo 5, I guess. So they weren't really trying. So he decided to join us for the remainder, and here we are.
Sick, cool, yeah. Solid team. Obviously, you guys dominated today. Congratulations. Earlier, we were just kind of hanging out before we even started the show, and Wes kind of refused to even congratulate on this. Wes, do you want to elaborate a little bit on why you can't even congratulate the man on a dub?
It's an open tournament. I'm talking to Ace.
The global champ.
The fact that Ace is playing in an open tournament is a problem.
Okay, let me interrupt. I understand we shouldn't be in this tournament. I wouldn't say it's anybody's fault specifically, but we honestly, it's kind of weird. I'm not gonna just throw shade and complain, but like,
no, you don't have to. I'll do it.
I don't know. You know when like you're in a pool play match, it's always like one seed versus the last seed. You know what I mean? And like. Oh, yeah. I feel like we came out playing like the best team right away, which isn't normal when I'm used to playing pools. But we ended up just going down 2-0, and then we played an oddball. We just weren't prepared. We just weren't playing too good, and it was a different team. And honestly, I just went to my friend from college's wedding and had a concussion. So like I wasn't
had a concussion.
Elaborate. Yeah. That's a story.
Well, I ended up drinking too much on wedding day, and I couldn't really tell you what happened, honestly. I just kind of fell over and hit my head. But, it happens. I didn't have any food. I was drinking all day. I was in the, wedding party, and I was drinking all day. Just hit me too hard. But, yeah. So I didn't really get to play much leading up to that tournament, and we weren't really ready as a team and just didn't get top 8 when we deserved it, to be honest with you. I think we could have easily beaten that team. Not easily, but I think we could have beaten that team. But it's okay. It's all good. There's nothing to complain about.
We're back on track. Back on track.
It's not a big deal. So yeah, here we are.
And this team is nasty. I mean, I've kind of been following and lurking a little bit on your journey of you like kind of jumping back into Halo 5 and playing it. And I will say, like, today was the best I've seen you play by far. Like, it felt like everything was back to being like more second nature. Like there was less second guessing yourself. Everything kind of had more of a flow to it. So shout out to you for that, putting the work.
I feel the same way. I feel like I was playing a lot better, and I would say some of that is to do with me getting Series X, and I mean, I'm not going to complain too much about like Halo 5 servers, but I feel like there's one server on the West Coast for me, and if I'm pinging like really high to every other one, so it just feels that's the knowledge I know about Halo 5, just pinging to custom servers. So I feel like pretty unconfident in my shot and like ability to like win pivs, and it changes my decision making if I can't even like aim
100%.
my gun. You know what I mean? So like I can't like go and challenge people that I could would have before. So it's just really it's just tough with heavy aim sometimes, out here. So
yeah,
the Xbox definitely improved my confidence and like my ability to like win battles.
Aaron, you're one of the pro players on the scene still that's been around for I mean, you might be one of the pros that's been around for the longest time, since back in the Halo 2 days. Obviously, Halo 3 is where you really took off, and you even played some Halo 1. You know, being Kyle's brother, Halo's been in y'all's family for so long. So where this is just out of my own curiosity, but in terms of like the pecking order, where would you put Halo 5 as like when you come back to Halo 5? Is it one of like the hardest games to get your groove back in over the course of any other Halos, or do you think they all kind of have their challenges when you take a break from it and come back? In my opinion, I think Halo 5 is probably one of the hardest games to try to come back. And if you haven't played in a few months, to try to get back into the groove of things, because there's so many mechanics, so many things you have to kind of be fluid at, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's definitely a game that you have to stay practiced in because of that. You know, you have to know where people are spawning. You have to figure all that out, which is in addition to that, you have to be able to like be constantly hitting your sprint button half the time. You know, you have to know when to thrust and when to use that. You know, there's spring jumps that are viable in half the situations nowadays. So like, you have to play a lot. You have to play a lot to like at least get your base skill back. You know, you can't just like take a 3-month break and play this game and expect to like to be doing your best. You know, even a week not on the game, you're gonna take like a couple hours to get your skill back. You know,
I think it definitely comes down to the advanced movement. To your point, like there's no other Halo that requires that much attention to your movement and like how you're able to like how important it is to be able to not only take routes that spring jumping and everything gives you, but like how to do it quickly, like on time. Because if you're not on time in Halo 5 and you're behind, you are going to get rolled.
Yep.
Yeah, not to mention like mechanically button presses per minute, I think like is off the charts for Halo 5. It's probably like the only game that's probably close is Halo 2. And even then Halo 2 you weren't constantly having to input that many buttons, but Halo 5 it's like nonstop. You're having to press so many buttons just to mechanically keep up.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if you notice when you're playing Halo 5 matchmaking by yourself, like you'll notice that like a lot of the times the reason you die is because you're just not really there with your movement. Like you're not really focused with your movement. Like if you just thrust slide out right after spawn, you could easily just die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
you have to
or
try
if you just,
so
even if
hard
you
in
just
every
sprint off
game
your
of Halo
spawn.
5. You can't just like casually play
Yeah,
hardcore.
exactly.
Halo 5, you'll get just like, dude, the most random people will just be just
starring you.
You have to warm up, and if they're sweating, it's like if the more you're sweating in that game, you're not gonna, you know, you're gonna be doing that much
you
better.
Miss a
like
clamor,
you just
get melted, like
yeah, you can't just like not sweat and just like go plus 20. You know, you have to be in the zone.
For sure. So I know just a little bit. We were talking before we kicked the show off and asking you about how long you've been up in California. I'm sure people out there are curious. I don't know if you've talked about it. I know you stream all the time, but what brought you out to Cali the past close to a year now, and how are you liking living up there, man?
Well, growing up in Kentucky, it's a very different type of environment, I would say, compared to like the West Coast, like Cali. You know, kind of felt like I was just kind of bored at home in lockdown. You know, kind of just bored, even though everything was closed anyway. Like I've had enough of Kentucky. You know, I wanted to get out of there and move, at least live somewhere else. You know, with a different type of like climate and whatnot. So I always wanted to try out to live out in Cali, and I just know some people from online. They had a spot, like a room for me to live in. So I decided, you know, it's no better time to at least try it out. And it wasn't supposed to be for a long time, but I ended up just like staying here and, you know, just deciding I want to be here for now. So yeah.
That's awesome. Honestly, I respect the hell out of that because, you know, it really is that easy. You know, obviously everyone has ties in their life and certain things you can't. That's why, to your point, now is probably the best time for you to do something like this. But, you know, a lot of people are maybe a little too timid or scared to make a decision like that. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you want to do something, like you wanted to experience something living in Cali, so you just did it. You know what I'm saying? I think, and you're probably one of the biggest advocates of kind of following, you know, doing whatever makes you happy in life and making sure you're kind of, you know, going down all the avenues that you're interested in. So definitely respect that you were able to just get up and move to Cali for a while, and now you're out there doing your thing. That's pretty cool.
I have a fun question. For as long as I can remember playing Halo Online, people have always said, oh, like you West Coasters, you guys are all warriors. Like, it's so much easier for you to be playing from over there, this and that. So my question for you is straight up, like, as moving to the West Coast and competing online from the West Coast, is it easier or is it harder than when you were in Kentucky?
Well, I can't say what it would be like from like Los Angeles area, because I do feel like I'm like NorCal is just a different beast almost. I feel like, but I definitely think it's more difficult. I only say that because I feel like there's more like I can't play this game. I can't play Halo 3 and Halo 5 unless it's like 1 a.m. You know what I mean? And then I'll have my server,
I think
every single time.
I think
Go ahead,
it's
Wes.
different with the different Halos too. Like when you're playing on like back in the day when you were playing H2 and H3, like and you're on these East Coast hosts, like of course it's gonna be harder. But like with servers being like localized, it's like almost when you're on the West Coast, it's like an advantage, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
I for MCC, for example, I don't think we ever get to play the West server. Like, I might play a whole day, 8 hours, and get the West server maybe once or twice.
Not
I mean,
during
now
the day. You're not.
now that you can like block servers too, I feel like the majority of people all block the West server, so you don't ever get to really play on that. If I get more than 1 or 2 games on West in like a whole 8-hour stretch of gaming, I'm pretty surprised. It's usually just East every single game.
But it has to be 10 p.m. PST if you want to get a West server.
I remember the big issues.
No, seriously.
He's got the time
That's
down to
crazy.
science.
I remember the
Yeah.
big issues back in the day. It was like we're not scrumming triggers down on like Hysteria's host because all 4 of those, or like 3 out of 4 of those guys at the time were like as far
West
Pacific
Coast,
Northwest as they get. And I'm like, we got teammates in Maryland, Chicago, Memphis, like, and Florida. Like, we are not going to beat them.
Actually,
even,
you would get 3-0'd and you would get goosed. That's what happened.
well, fortunately, no gooses for me.
Yeah.
But,
Dude, you would
you get ran over. I never got goosed. I hang my head high being able to say I never got goosed.
I don't know about that. I went to pull the
lie,
archives.
Hey,
You
check the
put
tape.
arrows
You
or a
can check
pink
them all.
flag.
Check all the tapes.
There's
baby.
got to
I
be
get
someone
mine.
out there with some
No,
information
I
on
promise you got somebody with a story that tells you that I got goosed. You got a liar on your hands.
this. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got its own challenges, obviously, being West versus East. Servers is obviously rad, but I think the chat wanted me to ask the fun guy question because I'm the fun guy here on the show.
Not the fun guy. You're pushing this way too hard.
So, Aaron, everybody that comes on the show, I like to ask them this question. We have a lot of fun with it. What's like your most outrageous, funny, or memorable behind-the-scenes LAN story throughout your whole Halo career that comes to mind right when I ask the question?
You've been part of a lot of.
That's a lot.
Aaron's,
of fun.
You keep my name out of your mouth.
I've been there for some of them.
I've said some of this on stream, but
Hey,
there
I
was
work
just,
for a corporation now.
I don't really want to
so-
get too into the details, so I'll just tell you. But basically, in 2008 in Toronto, I was, playing on some random team or whatever, but Straight Rippin' ended up winning that event. And we ended up celebrating with the fridge of alcohol in the hotel room because it was like a really dope setup. Actually, the room was, I remember this like it was yesterday because the room number was 1337, which there isn't 13 floors, the 13th floor on hotels in America, right? They only had it in Canada. So that was our room number, and we had like 2 conjoined rooms, and a lot of alcohol was involved, and we just had a very, very funny night. Me, Chig, I think Mudvayne, and like my brother, and like the rest of Straight Rippin' and everybody had a very, very ridiculously funny night with having to do with T Squared and Snipe Down, and just like T Squared spying on Snipe Down and stuff. And it was it was incredible. It's just one of the funniest things I've ever been around my entire life for a post event story. So, I don't want to get into too details.
the
But just
details.
a lot of alcohol. The whole fridge I think was gone by the end of the night.
It's crazy. I could have been a part of that story, but you dropped me before that event.
Damn!
Dude.
Oh, shoot. I think that's a story in and of itself. Go ahead, Wes.
Did I really?
You dropped me from Mudvayne and proceeded to fail.
Oh my
Well, I think you deserved it because you were being toxic.
Oh, there it is.
I'm
But
sorry. I
young,
just,
young West in early H3, that's toxic.
Yes.
Dude, that whole
Exactly.
BTH team, bro. I don't know how there couldn't have been another group of 4 people that would have made that team work and actually succeed because anytime, dude, you guys were. And I remember that's when I wasn't even I was just playing matchmaking, trying to get my 50 back in those days. Like really, just that's all that meant, anything to me is trying to get my rank up. And You guys were nasty back in the day. Obviously, Wes, your BTA squad, but you guys were the worst people of all time to be on one team.
Yeah, well, they won the tournament and broke up. That's enough said.
20,000. All right, I can't. When Old Spice when Wunsch and Roy and Old Spice offering $20,000 to Scotty show up at your door, what do you like? Hey, Scotty, I don't think you should take the guaranteed 20 grand and the opportunity to team with Roy and Wunsch. You should stay with me.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about that on one of the shows too. That when Scotty got that offer from Instinct after y'all won, but
I want to quickly follow up.
I didn't know that was the reason why.
I want to follow up on.
Just broke up.
Yeah, there was a lot that went down behind the scenes for that to kind of play out. But I kind of got a follow up question, Aaron, for specific players that have been around for through the ages. But to follow up my question about most memorable kind of behind the scenes LAN story, I'm curious to know what your most memorable TLN story is, because you were one of the guys that got to go to TLN. It's a huge blessing. Not a lot of players got to experience that. What stands out to you, or what's like a crazy funny story from the TLN days?
Man, that's another question.
Or maybe even a better question would be like, what?
Enough.
Yeah, because
we should talk about TLN for hours.
Yeah, TLN was definitely a such a blessing, and like such a way ahead of its time. To kind of piggyback off of Justin's question, like what made TLN so special? I think that's a question that you can probably answer with no problem. What made that era of Halo, or what that family did for Halo, so special?
Well, they opened up their entire house, and funded so much of just fun activity for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't just them inviting everybody and having everybody over there at the house, which is big enough somehow for like 30 guys to sleep in, like randomly upstairs. I remember sleeping in the most weird spots, dude, like on random furniture upstairs, like 7 a.m. Yeah, like 7 a.m. and I'm like finding like a place to sleep, and then they had like a room for a theater where you could hang out and watch TV shows.
March Madness. I remember March Madness would be going down. We were watching the games, movies at night.
And then Mr. P would have constant snacks and order constant pizza and Italian and
chicken parm.
The barbecue, chicken parm in the barbecue place and all these things. And just the snack room and the Red Bulls and the waters, constant.
Uh-huh.
And they're constantly cleaning up and just helping us out and just having all the pros there. And it's like more impersonal interaction rather than just being online and just talking to each other.
Totally.
We got to hang out and have fun with it. And they had a pool, and like we went to like sports games like the Chicago Bulls and Blackhawks and concerts and everything. We would go to like we would play basketball and play other like weird, what was that game called? It's like some like bumper cars and like a net or something. There was like a net you like threw a basketball.
You had a scoop.
Yeah, scoop. You had like bumper cars and like a scooper with a ball, and you like try to like shoot it in.
Yeah,
what the heck?
It was fun. I think what made that era so special was like we're all 18 through like 22 probably, and to Aaron's point, it's like we're literally given this opportunity where we have no stress in our life other than to like compete against each other at Halo. Like we don't have to worry about dinner. Like the P's got us there.
Yeah.
Like there's unlimited drinks, energy drinks, snacks, like sodas, you name it. Like arcade games. Like you're literally in a house with like 20 of like your best friends and everyone's cold as hell at Halo, right?
Yeah.
So we always got like money matches going. We always got 2s, 8s, octagons, like whatever you want to do with your day at that age, like you're gonna do it with like some of your best friends at that time. Like it was it was a movie, right? It was
Wes, I think my favorite memory is that day we played Money 8, so like Walsh, me, you, like CMG, Tots, and like
Scotty, Beer.
Yeah, that was my favorite day there. Like we actually, I think it was the Money 8s that got me the most. Like playing LAN Money 8s is just like the best.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we like, and there was a few of us like you and I, and Scotty had already made it, but like Aaron and I at the time were in such a similar boat where we were like good, but we were top 12 good, and we were like on the verge of getting top 8, top 6, like and where our careers were gonna go. And we got just this unlimited LAN practice against Spirit Self, Hysteria, Richie, Scotty.
best
Like
of the
we're
best,
playing
man.
against the guys that are like, so we're getting like constant reps.
And we were
It's
top
just-
12, so it was kind of weird, you know. We were like top
Yeah.
8, 7, and top 12, top 8.
So I think like that was where both of our careers really like took a turn. Like and where we developed as players was in that basement, like literally picking teams and figuring it out and learning how to play against some of these greats and learning that like I am as good as some of these guys. Like I can compete with the hysterias and the clouds of the world, and like you get your confidence up just through those reps, and you're like all of a sudden like you carry in a Money 8 series against these guys on land. It's like you never would have gotten that opportunity online. Like hardly ever were we really playing like random 8s online, I think. Like,
no, not really.
like that series, but everybody just had the same ambition at the time.
Yeah, no, I was lucky enough to be a part of it on not so much on the tail end of it. I think I kind of got integrated into it like a little bit towards the middle. I actually went to the first TLN house, so that's kind of when I got, and before they switched houses. So definitely can relate to what you guys are saying, and shout out to the P family. Those guys did so much for Halo, and I hope they're doing great. Some beautiful people. And I want to switch over now to going into the Halo 5 scene again, obviously with the Pro Series Season 4 among us. We got the champion right here from tonight's tournament. Aaron, now going into next, and I was watching your post-game interview a little bit on the LVT Productions Twitch stream, and I'm going to ask you the question that you guys kind of touched on in that interview, and that's, you mentioned that your expectations are to win always, and I expect nothing less from you. Obviously, you are a champion. Going into next weekend for the 5K, is this the most confident in terms of H5 Pro Series? Not your entire Halo 5 career, but just in terms of H5 Pro Series. Do you think this is the strongest roster you've had going into a Pro Series? And how's your head feel? How are you feeling going into the tournament?
Yeah, 1000%. This is the strongest roster I've had, and the rest of my team has had going into a H5 Pro Series. And to be honest, before with Halo 5, I'm not going to get into all these details, but we went through a lot of struggle and just kind of like things that were really wrenches in the whole deal. You know what I mean? With Halo 5 and the Pro Series, and like kind of just made us not really want to take it too serious because we didn't really have faith in ourselves to be able to win. But now I think we're on like a team that everyone's competed at the highest level, and I think we have the potential to win any given series. So it gives us a lot of confidence going into continue playing the rest of the tournaments.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like we've Wes and I and Faisal, we always talk about the top 4 in Halo 5 right now is pretty much locked down. So what's it going to take for you guys to break in potentially into this top 4? I think top 8 is like a given. I would expect that out of you guys, but take it one step further to the top 4. There's gonna be some big things that need to happen. So yeah, where's your head at kind of with all that, with the teams and where you guys are at?
Well, I'm sure you guys pay pretty close attention to Halo 5 and like how it's played at a high level. You can get, if your team is playing the right way together, like it's almost like the other team cannot do anything. Literally cannot do anything. Like, and if they do make a play that is like a game-changing play to get out of like these traps and stuff, like it's a really amazing play, or it's just kind of like a radar play, like a surprise kill or something like that, If you're playing together and you're playing right, teamwork just takes people down,
Yeah.
You can say that about every Halo, but this one especially, you can really you can get pointless kills in this Halo, and you can also push somewhere and cost your whole team, to be dead and then lose like another 10 kills,
Yeah.
because you're too fast or whatever. But if you're playing together, like the other, because your ability to be able to just like get damage on a guy and then get your shields back and then sprint across the map and fight the other guys, like that's unheard of in every Halo except this one. So when you're playing really good team Halo, like it's just things just flow, and that's why you see like sometimes the games are close, but sometimes it's just like 1-4 dead can be game over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spice did it all the time back in the day, right?
Exactly.
Have people cycled, and like there's always a man down or a guy by himself, and it's challenging. Wes, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
I guess
But
the biggest
that's
question...
what it's going to take, by the way. I didn't really finish the question. That's what it takes, for us to be able to beat these teams. It's being able to know, like, have that practice on the map,
to consistently be able to get to that point in the game.
Yes, like it's like when you have the weapons, you got to turn them. It's like when you have the power up, you got to like make use of it, and you got to get as much of it as like that you can. Say you have like Sniper Coliseum, you got to get like a 6-10 kill lead, or else you might lose the game because of that.
True.
Yeah, you got to make plays.
My biggest question, I guess, is when I look at you as a player, Aaron, and I look at your career, it's very similar to the things I had to experience in mine, which was a roller coaster of placings, right? You've obviously had, by this point in your career, a lot of success. Those have always been followed by like the high highs and the low lows. When I think of like Ace,
Yeah.
with Infinite coming right around the corner, like making a consistency to like somehow figure out how to maybe continue the high stories, and everybody's gonna have lows, but like minimizing the damage on your lows, right? Like how do you view your career in that sense, and then like what goes through your head about opportunities in order to kind of minimize the damage of the low lows, like maybe a top 6 placing instead of like a top 12 or whatever, like. But like, I always feel like for some reason
I'd
you'll
say
figure it out and
some of
find
my
a
lows
lane.
were like top 6, top 8, top 4, like 4th, 5th for a long time. Like I feel like I got top 6 in Halo 5 like a million times.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth or top 6 like a million times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, honestly, that's the way you said that. It's funny because I've had that thought about my life before. That it's like in general with everything, it's been like high highs and low lows. Um, but I feel like I've learned from the lows over time, and I'm getting better at the lows, and I think you know I know what it takes now to compete in Halo. In terms of like preparation and process wise, I feel like I've learned, what to do to actually, you know, come back from the lows,
Right.
So yeah, it just takes, the drive and the effort to want to do that. And, sometimes the road to the top may look like really, really far. And you don't have a lot of faith in doing that, but
Mm-hmm.
it,
Absolutely.
and don't want to get me started on like the rest of the circumstances that have affected like
Team
my
changes,
life.
everything. Like,
Or even just outside of Halo stuff that maybe
Yeah.
changes, like has a reaction event or that causes stuff in
Yeah.
your Halo career to differ, right?
Yeah, like college, like school, for example,
Yeah.
like people, like moving, family, whatever. Like all, like you gotta take that into account sometimes. Even when you're like discussing like who's the best Halo player, like people are going through stuff in their life. The best Halo player from 2009 Halo 3 for the month of July might be different than June and August. You know what I mean? Just because of like stuff that they were dealing with and how much practice they
Totally.
put in.
absolutely.
You know what I
You're
mean?
humans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned what it takes, and I think I got the process down, and I know how to like go from like step A to step C,
Yeah.
in
Right.
terms of like putting a team together and practicing and learning.
Yeah.
How are you learning? How to learn?
To kind of piggyback off of that a little bit. I mean, first of all, I feel like it's important and awesome to remind the chat and everyone watching, on YouTube or podcast, whatever, that I mean, you are still the current reigning LAN champ. I mean, the last time we had a LAN event, you won it with your team. So it's not like these goals of championships or something, or these far off thing. It's like, no, like just the last LAN we had, you held up that trophy, and had that success. So I know you kind of, have been dabbling with, H5, also MCC with the H3 stuff. Do you kind of have a plan or a roster kind of in mind heading into Infinite? What's kind of your plans for the future at the moment?
This is the roster I've got planned for Infinite. I don't know exactly what is going to go down with like Spartan and everything, but this is the roster I plan for Infinite. You know, like I said, I don't really know what's going to happen with like our fourth and everything and all that situation, but for now, this is the plan. And don't get me started. I've watched some of the other shows with APG and on everything else that happened, and I honestly want to comment on it a little bit because I feel like I didn't like how that all went down. With us being right there to sign a contract and just it not going through. Basically, it was just a weird situation. Because, like I said, I honestly had a dream about it right before it happened. I woke up to like the message, you know what I mean, that we weren't going anymore. It was really a weird scenario. So like it was just like a weird night. I go to bed a couple hours later, I wake up to the message and it just all everything had changed.
You want to
And
break that down a little bit, like how
I'll break
that?
that down. I mean, I was in Thailand, joined, playing with neighbor Sab and commonly after that, and then they picked me up. They asked me to team. I decided to team with them with foul and everything, and it was perfection after that. I was pretty stable in my life. I was, had a lot of good habits. I was doing good for myself, and you know, we won that tournament, and it, I mean, couldn't have been any better, like dream wise.
Y'all were
We
nasty,
literally,
yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
performed great, and I think I performed great. Like at
Absolutely.
All of
that
you
tournament.
guys, all of
Absolutely.
you
You don't win a
dominating.
tournament without performing great. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I did my job to like the best of my ability, really, and there wasn't really anything I would have critiqued about myself at that tournament. And then moving on, we played a 2 anniversary online, and you know things could have been a little bit different, but we performed pretty well in that when we took it serious. And just going like, from that point on, after like climbing my way back from a Halo 5 on and like to get to this point, it just didn't really feel like I deserved at least to be like dropped in that situation. Like I didn't feel like I was like a replaceable player from that tournament. You know what I mean? Like I think I did my job at H2A, did my job in Reach. You know what I mean? Performed pretty well, and I wouldn't say that like, damn, like they could definitely play better without me. You know what I mean? I
No.
don't think I would have said that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, because like I said, I thought I did my job, but so yeah, that's why it was like a very disappointing thing for me. I was very disappointed. Like that day, I was very disappointed. But like, it's just another object in the way, on your goal, and you know it's up to you to turn around from there. So
I was
not
shocked.
something. It's not
Yeah.
something I'm like thinking about every day or anything.
If anything,
sure.
it's motivation.
Yeah, if anything, it's motivation.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was really surprised. I think our first ever On My Esk episode was like regarding that topic whenever that we heard the news, that they made that change. I could be wrong. I think
it was Faisal. I think we did like our little draft. Remember when we were like testing the show, just me and you, and it was about that. We're like, should he drop? Yeah, like should he drop the global champ? And like,
yeah, and
that's
I
insane.
was on the side of like, no, man. Like I genuinely thought and still do believe like all like the good things that you bring to a roster, just because not only your experience, but you're kind of like a low-key nerdy player. Like you play the right way, but you also do things that I feel like you don't get enough credit for on the map. And that's why anytime you kind of fill that role on a team, you always fit in seamlessly, and people kind of take that for granted. But I genuinely believe that.
I like my play style. I like to fit in wherever I need to. You know what I mean? I kind of believe Halo is played like when you have power weapons and different things, you need to play a certain way. But best players can play everything that they need to.
For sure.
Play every position on the map, and like there's a way that you play to win. You don't play for anything else. And
totally.
Players that like they just think too much about slaying. Sometimes, but they can't really flip. Their rate of play or like flip like what they're trying to do. And I think like the way Halo should be played is like everyone should be doing
situational.
Yeah,
100%. And not just that, but what boggles my mind is that we've seen you have success in so many different Halos, like at a high level. So it's like, how is that still in question? So, and not only that, and then not to kind of go too much into this, but like you're one of the players that's like, you have good comms, you don't freak out when you're playing, you keep a level head. Like there's a lot of things that, I think that there's a reason you've been at the top for so long. And I know Halo, like there's a lot of cliques and there's people in friend groups and stuff and kind of politics that go into any, we know that, but
plus like throughout history, I would say I've worked on a lot of those things and gotten better at them. And I feel like I feel like I'm the best I've ever been, especially like this year with like since Reach, since 2019, I feel like I'm the best I've ever been, no doubt in my mind. So,
awesome.
Throughout Halo 5 and like, different things have happened. I don't think I was the best teammate all the time. I was good sometimes, bad sometimes. And, that's a whole nother story, but I'm more confident in myself than I really have ever been in Halo. And I think I could be a good asset to any team.
So
I completely agree.
We've seen you kind of playing and everything. Moving forward, do you have a plan? Like, you're going to focus on just Halo 5 alone? Are you still going to try to do the Halo 3 stuff? Like, what is Ace going to be doing on a weekly basis when it comes to competing in Halo tournaments?
I would say both Halo 5 and Halo 3. I'm actually playing the Halo 3 tournament tomorrow just with my brother. But yeah, I want to try to do well at both. You know, play 22s, Halo 3, whatever, Halo other stuff, Halo 3, and then as much Halo 5 focus as possible. Yeah, but you know, the whole Halo 3, I would be competing in the HCS, but like I don't really feel like I had a team that, you know, there was no team to be put together. There's like the top two and like your guys' team, and you know, it's hard to like get on a team that would take that down. So you know, maybe I'll try it, and plus there's Halo 5 stuff going on, so I don't know. I think it's open in the air if I'm going to be playing like Halo 3 Sundays or Halo 5, but at least tomorrow I'm playing Halo 3.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Wes, did you have a question for him?
No.
Okay. I don't want to cut you off. I did want to ask one thing. This will be my last question, and then we can have Faisal go. We'll do chat stuff, whatever. But we got to go back to Global Champs real quick, man. I mean, you take home one of the biggest Halo titles in history playing Halo 4. You know, you had some crazy comebacks in the 1v1s. Can you just like walk us through that event, what it felt like to go from, you know, the beginning to the end? Like, I would love to get some insight into your mind for that.
It's a long story, I would say, but that was definitely the craziest story I could tell in my life, you know? It goes from me being like worried up, you know how stressful it was to try to qualify for that tournament.
Dude,
oh my god,
it's the most stressful
couldn't
thing
win
ever
a
in
game,
Halo.
couldn't lose a game, like
yeah. And you had to like, you could lag out one time, you could like pull your Ethernet at one time, and like I finally, you know, didn't. Finally, you know, it wasn't qualifying, but they finally announced that like you could go, you know, anyway, if you like got top 8 at AGL or whatever it was, you know what I mean, or like
That's
first at AGL.
right.
So they invited like a few people. I was like, wow, finally, like now, like I don't have to worry about that anymore. And I go to the tournament and just, you know, almost like on my way there, I finally like put together a game plan on how I want to play FFA, because I actually asked Pistola how he's got so good at FFA like 2 months before that, and he told me just like awareness and to not like start fights and stuff. So I stopped starting fights in FFA. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
you start a fight, you're only going to get out with 1 kill. But if you come into a fight after it started, you can get 2, maybe 3.
And keep your shields possibly.
Yes, exactly. So I stopped. I put together how I wanted to play FFA, because I didn't really practice that much for the FFAs, but I've put together kind of like what I want to do off spawn at each map, and I just ended up, you know, getting to the top 16, and then the top 8 match was like super close, and
That was a
got
stacked top 8 match. Formal, Enable, Pistola, Ace.
Yeah,
Trying to think who all was in it. It was a crazy top 8. But once you went into that final 1v1, and it was you and Ola, and you get that final, you know, the game's over, you win. I remember you stand up and, you know, they bring you that giant trophy. What was going through your head? Like, did it hit you right away? How much money you won and all this stuff? Like, what the hell?
I never thought about the money that whole day. Really, I just was there to like play and like be in the moment, and like I was just up there, just like literally with these white noise cancellation earbuds.
Oh my god, those are the worst, bro.
Like you're on like for your first time playing Halo. It's not even just like a Halo experience. It's like a whole like different type of life experience about like your brain. Like you're just like in your own head.
They had us on those stools. They had us on the stools. Our legs were like dangling. You couldn't like go elbows on knees and stuff.
Well, you had no sound, so it's just like you don't. You know, how many times have you in life have you had like no sound of anything? You know,
so you're just like, you're conscious, but you can't.
You're playing Halo. You know what I mean? And you're playing Halo, so all you can hear is the game sounds. I was just like calm. I was like super calm after. You know, I was just go. I actually wasn't calm in the 1v1. We tied, and then like I took a bunch of breaths to calm down. So I like became like super calm, and I think it helped me in the end. But yeah, just that whole day was just like a surreal. There's no other way to describe it besides surreal. And honestly, it's probably my only surreal moment in my life. You know what I mean? Like very like it's just that's the word to describe it. You know, very very rare type of moment. You know?
Did it mean more to you to win that than your first fours win?
Ah man, I remember my first fours win a little bit less than that. Yeah, I think that event was better. Honestly, I think it was a little bit more hype because of everybody's like expectations going into it, preparation for it, and yeah, it meant a lot more. It felt very, very good to win that tournament. I would say very surreal, like unreal feeling. Like, I can't even describe it. It's like the highest I've ever been, probably. In terms of like a feeling in life, like just for like that hour, just like that hour,
absolutely dopamine up.
yeah. So
And
for
that
that hour
was-
after, I was dopamine out of my mind.
Oh my! And that was one of the most fun events
At
ever
least.
too, because like it was every man for himself. Like you didn't have like these team cliques. Everyone was just kind of all hanging out. We had those like shuttles where they were shuttling us back and forth, and like everyone was just kind of mingling. It felt like there's like a different energy to that event than any event I've competed in for sure. It was a good time.
Great event. I actually just watched some of it today, and I was like, I'm getting nervous watching it. Like,
Dude,
you know what I mean?
seriously.
It's just like way in the past. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
What a crazy tournament. I remember getting there and we checked in, and like before you got to like top 16 or you started playing those matches, like the stations that you had to play to like get your points were all like, yeah, they're on the outside, and it's like, dude, we're playing for a lot of money, and like it's like, to your point, Aaron, it was such like a first time feeling because everything was different. Like even the way you had to play, hey, like the chairs were weird, and like you're sitting all high off the ground, and like the screens are all like next. It was just like a really weird way to try to play.
The gamer cases and stuff.
Laptop thingy, right?
Yeah, you had those little games cases, and you're playing for $200,000, dude. And you're like,
yeah,
like it was.
But I feel like that never got to me. I never really thought about that stuff.
For real?
Yeah,
it bugged me because I back then I was still leaning forward when I sat, and I felt like I was gonna fall off the stool. I couldn't lean forward, so I had to like force myself to sit back. So it was
honestly,
awkward,
if you were taller, it'd probably be more difficult.
Yeah, it was
size stool.
It was real. Yeah, it was a big adjustment for me. It was rough. I was happy just to make it inside, like just to be in the theater and play on that stage a couple times was like a lot of fun. But and then obviously your comeback against Straight Six, like your whole road to winning that too was not like it was just given to you, right? I felt like there were so many moments where it could have easily gone the other way, but you managed to like ice up and clutch it up. So
I will say, everybody said like, oh, this guy Showtime, that like people don't really consider that like the plays that put you in to like be losing at that time. That's you choking too. Like,
yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So,
yeah, exactly.
I choked a lot in that tournament, but then I let it go. That's what happened. Is I let it go each time, and I think that's how I won that.
Move on.
And before we get into, we're gonna ask a couple questions from our Twitch chat. We got some people. We'll pick one or two questions, then we'll wrap things up. But I want to ask, we talked enough about the Halo 5 stuff. Going into Halo Infinite, like where, when that game comes out, do you plan on still being in Cali? You're going to be back in Kentucky? Do you already have like a life plan for whenever that game comes out in terms of like you're completely going to dedicate yourself to it? Are you trying to be, make sure you're balanced outside of the game? Like, do you already have a plan going into Infinite, or are you kind of like, when I hit that, we'll figure it out?
Well, even me coming to Cali, I'm a very like spontaneous person in general in life, doing like these kind of like things. You know what I mean? But yeah, my plan is to be set up. I don't know exactly where I'll be living, but apparently, Texas seems like the best place for internet.
Come through.
Yeah.
Dude, everyone's going there, man. All the gamers, all the serious ones.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be set up outside the game to the best of my ability, like mentally, physically, and ready to focus on that solely and perform my best, no doubt. And yeah, I think I know what it takes, outside of the game to be ready to perform your best in the game as well, outside of Halo, and I know what I need to do for that as well. So yeah, never been more confident in myself to be ready to compete at Infinite.
Hell yeah. I think Halo is it's very mental. Like you have to kind of be in a good headspace and kind of have that inner confidence. Not even just in Halo, but in life. Like you have to feel good about yourself, and it translates over to your gameplay. So excited to see your journey, man, in the Pro Series and moving on to Infinite. I definitely think you're gonna continue to do big things. But now we are transitioning over to our community segment. We're gonna pick one or two questions from our Twitch chat before we say our goodbyes for tonight. And right off the rip, I see one that can easily transition into a good question right off of the conversation we were just having, Aaron, and that's from Big Dog Mills. His question is, Ace, how much of a focus on training outside of Halo, i.e. mental and physical health? His question is, how important is mental and physical health outside of Halo to translate to your game?
Well, I would say it's of the utmost importance, I think it's like if you're an NBA player, NFL player, like it goes the same for them. They're in the gym every day working on their mental health and physical health, and also after that, they're studying film or whatever, practicing. Like look at MJ, look at Kobe. And I think that's kind of like if you're competing in Infinite, you're gonna, you might need to be on like an organization that has a dietitian, and a chef cooking for people, like all these things that could affect like how your team performs. And honestly, the other, when you said that, the one thing I think of is like staying up all night playing. Like you can sit there and stay up all night playing Halo or video games, competing, but like at the end of the day, that's not really the best way for you to practice, because you're never seeing the sun. Like you're losing like, all these things, and you're like health wise, and you're just not 100% feeling your best, and it's just like not the best way to go about practice at all, I think. And yeah, I think it matters completely. Like you gotta be working out, exercising, taking, trying to rest and recuperate, de-stress, and all these things. I think it all matters in terms of you performing your best.
Love that. I want to ask this question from Mark Owns Your Face, but I want to adjust it just a little bit. He asked, who was or is your favorite teammate in Halo 5? I want to just ask, instead of that, who's your favorite teammate that you've had, just in general?
Oh, that's a good one.
Throughout all of Halo.
It's probably hard to narrow it down to one person.
I don't know, man. There's so many different people, different situations, different friends, different everything. Like, sheesh. I would say I'll answer this question this way. I could say a lot of different things for a long time, but I'd say one instance in one event, this AGL 8 for Halo 4. That was that Halo 4 tournament where like all the good people were there playing. Like the one that was like the biggest when we won it. Me, Ninja, Legit, and Dursky. I will say that I got on that team, but I think that me and Legit in Halo 4 at that time period worked together better than I've ever seen like anyone, like with me at least, like in terms of like finishing each other's kills and everything, and team shotting people. Like that was my favorite like teammate at that event that I've ever like had to like do work on the map.
All these folks are legit stories. I think Faisal's brought up Legit as well, and like his experience with him. Like Brian just seems like he must have been.
Well, he has so much experience too. He was a great teammate.
I had such a bad Legit experience.
Yeah, like you said, there's things outside of Halo that affect your game.
I don't know what was going on outside, but I did see what was going on inside. And,
oh my god!
And let's just say Legit was not finishing kills.
Oh god! That's a bit sad.
Man, I wish Legit, like, because we were at that Halo 5. Clutch actually took his spot at that first Halo 5 event in Daytona, and man, I wish everything went different because he would have been he would have been nasty at Halo 5.
I dominated.
There was the event before Halo, like right when Halo 5 dropped, like that day,
Yeah.
Unfortunate events there.
Tony B. Casting actually had the first question. He asked, do you ever plan on playing in the World Series of Poker? I don't even know that you dabbled in poker, so.
Yeah, I dabble in poker.
Aaron's a gambler.
I play some, but I think I like poker. I could see myself playing in like that tournament one day. Sure.
Hell
Very
yeah.
Cool.
Is that a Herman Miller you got behind you?
Yeah.
Oh, the Aaron?
One.
Hey, great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I can't see. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like these chairs a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored by anyone or anything, so I think they go better than those like other rigid chairs.
The racing chairs, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to like. I've always been big, similar to you, and like trying to. I mean, and Wes obviously, but Wes is more into like just lifting weights and putting on,
crushing souls.
Yeah, but whereas I think I've just had like back issues and stuff too. So I've always really emphasized like posture and like making sure your core muscles and like your alignment and everything is good. And
dude, yoga could help.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to get into you. I'll probably hit you up outside of, just get some tips on getting
Y'all both
integrated.
Need to go to the curl rack and just start grinding out some curls. Okay.
All right, I think I've got one.
Gonna help your back posture. You need a lower back, bro.
You'll walk with more confidence.
I think there's one last question we can ask him, and then we can hang out with him for a little bit outside of the show. But this is a good question, I think. What, and it could probably just be the same answer as last, but I hope it's not. What was the team that you felt the most confident with in your entire career?
Ooh.
The one team you had the most faith in.
Yeah, we're winning this. We're winning this tournament, man. There's nobody beating us.
And it could be a situation where it didn't pan out. Like maybe you were confident it didn't work out. Yeah.
Halo 3, who never won. Halo Reach. I would definitely say this last tournament, this LAN, me, Spartan, Google, and Falcated. That was the best I've ever been playing Halo, dude. And
damn.
Like that.
You guys were good.
In my life, I was solely going to the gym and like practicing and like working on my mental and spiritual health, mental and physical and spiritual health and everything. That was what I was doing, and I just I've never played better at a tournament, and especially on a team. You know what I mean?
Are we all just choking, not taking care of our mental and physical? We're fucking blowing it, man.
I actually want to say, dude, I played I remember like we could have lost against a limited round, like game 2, like in round 1. We played them round 1. They get second place. You know, we played them round 1. We could have easily lost to them, but after we lost the first game, the second game, I just remember like going off. Like no one was watching. Like no one was watching me, but like I was like going off on the game 2, like with snipe and stuff. My first time like ever getting snipe on this team. You know what I mean? Finally got it in, like on a Sanctuary. What's that map called? Sanctuary in Reach. Sanctuary Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went like plus like 8 or something that game. Like no one's watching, but that was the best tournament like I've ever had. I know that for a fact. Like I feel like I did my job completely. I didn't even get sleep the Saturday night, but we still ended up beating Sentinels 4-0 and winning the tournament. So it felt good. That was the most confident I've ever been in a tournament to win. 100%.
Yeah.
That's overrated.
I mean, that was a sick performance, and that team was stacked top to bottom. But
I'll go running in the morning, man.
With that, Faisal's all inspired. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take it upon myself to wrap up this episode number 33. I believe it was. Ace, Aaron, thank you so much for deciding to join us. Obviously, congratulations. I don't care if Wes doesn't want to congratulate you. I'm going to congratulate you. Congrats on the win today. And I'm excited to see what you guys are able to do next week. And I'm also excited to potentially play you tomorrow, get some games in and see how you guys do in the H3 thing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, guys, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell for the alerts and all that. We're going to have Ace's stream, his Twitter, all that linked in the description below. So make sure you guys follow his socials, show him all the love, drop your comments, and let us know what you thought of the episode. And for those of you guys joining us live here on Twitch, thank you guys so much already. If you haven't already, follow the stream, all that good stuff. And that's going to be it for On My X episode number 33 for me and the boys signing out. Have a good night. Peace.